Hello good people, I'm going to talk about ratios and proportions. In everyday language, these two words tend to be used interchangeably. In mathematics and sciences, they have different and specific meanings. When we talk about ratios, we are comparing different parts that happen to make up a whole. While when we talk about proportions, we are looking at a relationship of a single part and the whole. In order to make this clearer, I'm going to bring in the best example there is, a pizza. Now, if you do not like pizza, chances are you do not have a soul. I'm sorry that you had to find out this way. So, in this example, I'm going to look at the ratio of salami pieces to mushroom pieces on a single slice of pizza. This salami to mushroom ratio can be expressed as S, standing for salami, to M, standing for mushroom. On a single slice of pizza, there are 4 salami pieces and 3 pieces of mushroom. So the ratio of salami to mushroom is 4:3. By the way, we could also read this from right to left. I could talk about a ratio of mushroom to salami, which happens to be 3:4. What happens if I have more slices of the same pizza where the salami to mushroom ratio is exactly the same? If I have 2 slices of pizza, I will have 8 pieces of salami. Correspondingly, I will have 6 pieces of mushroom. If I have 7 slices of the same pizza, I will end up with 28 pieces of salami. By the same token, 7 slices of pizza will have 21 pieces of mushroom. These 3 ratios are known as equivalent ratios. Yes, we are using different numbers, but we are expressing the same relationship. 4:3 is the same as 8:6, is the same as 28:21. This is similar to fractions. Just like we can have equivalent fractions, we can also have equivalent ratios. Alright, so these are ratios. What is a proportion? According to the definition, a proportion is looking at a relationship between a single part and a whole. And so in this case, we need to look at the total amount of toppings present on each slice of pizza. This means that if I have 4 pieces of salami and 3 pieces of mushroom, the total number of toppings pieces would be 7. For 2 slices, the total would be 14, and for 7 slices, the total would be 49. These totals represent the whole. In this case, we can talk about proportion of salami and proportion of mushroom. If I was to calculate the proportion of salami on a single slice of pizza, I would need to look at how many pieces of salami I have, in this case 4, and divide that by the total number of pieces, that is 7. And if I calculate this, I will end up with 0.57 when rounded to 2 decimal places. And so the proportion of salami would be 0.57. We can do the same thing for mushrooms. Each slice has 3 pieces of mushroom, and that needs to be divided by the total number of pieces. I will end up with 0.43 when rounded to 2 decimal places. Please note that if we have done everything correctly, the sum of all proportions should equal to 1. And that is the case here. 0.57 plus 0.43 equals 1. We can perform the same calculation for 2 or 7 slices of pizza. We should end up with the same result. So in case of 7 slices of pizza, the proportion of salami would be 28 divided by 49. And that too is equal 0.57 when rounded to 2 decimal places. By the same token, the proportion of mushrooms would be 21 divided by 49, and as above, that would equal 0.43 when rounded to 2 decimal places. The general formula for calculating proportions is number of parts, or number of pieces, divided by the total number of pieces, or divided by the whole. Please note the difference in how we express ratios versus proportions. When it comes to ratios, it is a number with regards to another number, a part compared to another part. When it comes to the proportion, we are calculating the relationship between one of those parts to the whole. And generally, proportions are expressed as a decimal number. That being said, we can also express proportions as a percentage. Each one of these proportions can be multiplied by 100. A proportion of 0.43 would be the same as 43%. Let me look at one more example. In this case, we are looking at a crowd of people on a dance floor. 15 of them happen to have dark hair, 6 are blonde, 3 are ginger, and 12 have shaved their hair. The total number of people happens to be 36. 15 plus 6 plus 3 plus 12 will give me 36. When dealing with ratios, we can sometimes simplify them. In order to simplify a ratio, we need to look for a common factor. In this case, I'm looking for a number that 15, 6, 3, and 12 are all divisible by. Using my knowledge of the multiplication table, I can say that that number is 3. If I divide all of the values of my ratio by 3, I will end up with 5, 12, 1, and 4, and the new total will be 12. Just as we can simplify fractions, so long as there is a common factor, we can also simplify ratios. In fact, fractions can be used to compare ratios. So let me prove that these two ratios are in fact equivalent. I'm going to look at the ratio between people with shaved heads and people with dark hair. According to the original ratio, there were 12 people with shaved heads, 15 with dark hair. So the ratio is 12:15. When we simplified it, we ended up with 4:5. For a moment, I'm going to convert these two ratios into fractions. So rather than saying 12:15, I'm going to look at 12/15. And that will give me 0.8. By the same token, I'm going to express 4:5 as 4/5. That too will give me 0.8. And so these two are indeed two equivalent ratios. Take care not to confuse converting ratios into fractions with proportions. Let's say I'm interested in the proportion of blonde people on the dance floor. Recall that when we calculate a proportion, we are comparing a part to the total. In this case, our part are blonde people, and there are 6 of them. The total happens to be 36. So to calculate the proportion, we will have 6 divided by 36. When I calculate this, I will end up with 0.17 when rounded to 2 decimal places. We can perform the same calculation using the simplified ratio. So rather than saying 6/36, we could have 2/12. And unless I'm using my calculator incorrectly, this will also give us 0.17 when rounded to 2 decimal places. As I have said before, if we absolutely insisted, we could express the proportion as a percentage. To do that, we take the proportion as is and we multiply it by 100%, and in this case, that will give me 17%. So I could say that the proportion of blonde people on the dance floor is 0.17, or 17% of the people on the dance floor happen to be blonde. In summary, ratios compare different parts to each other, while proportions compare a single part to a whole. Proportions can be expressed as a percentage, and if we want to compare ratios, we can treat them as fractions. But when we do that, we have to make sure not to confuse the result of the fraction with a proportion. That is all for now, and I will see you on the flip side.